Hello everybody, welcome to Cape Rugby TV. Wednesday night, and once again we talk about what's happening in the world of Western Province Club Rugby. Nice to have you along. Big thanks of course to our sponsors on board with us. Direct Access, your financial services partner. Score Energy Drinks. As you know, they're on board with Western Province Rugby and sponsors of the Western Province Club Rugby Sevens. That's coming up a little bit later in the year. MChem 24-hour pharmacy on the corner of N1 and Durban Road. Yes Electrical, Dulux Maitland, and of course Intercape, your official transport provider to Western Province Rugby and the DHL Stormers. We've got a couple of rugby matters on the cards this evening. We'll of course go out to Paarl, where Al Azhar Cape Town was playing against Al Azhar Paarl, where we look at a little bit of schools rugby for a change. It was the Vineyard Sports Day. We'll speak to Salman Murat and Tamir Murat, as well as Benjamin Nekreddin, and we'll take a look at what's happening in the Western Province Under-21 Currie Cup semi-finals and what's happening in the Currie Cup there. And then a little bit later, then we'll move on to the fixtures coming up this weekend. As you know, the top six has already been determined in Super League A. And we'll take a look at the top six heads up in B and C in the Promotion League in Paarl as well. Anyway, let me introduce you to my panel this evening. Jerome Paarwater. Jerome, we're going to have you in the hot seat tonight, meneer.
Yeah, JP. I must say I had a good week last week. Hopefully we can have a very good weekend this week also, because we are playing in the final against the Under-21 final against the Bulls Under-21 side.
Let's talk about that later in the show.
So yeah, so looking, so it's a busy week for me.
Busy week for you. And Ishmael Dolly. We haven't had you on the show for ages. Nice to have you back.
Yeah, good to be back. It's good to know that we've got some rugby on the cards and we can chat a little bit about rugby. But yeah, can't wait to dissect into this program.
Right, folks, as I mentioned, we of course went out to Vineyards this weekend, Vineyards in Paarl, to go and watch a little bit of school rugby. The youth are in action there. Of course, Al Azhar Paarl playing against Al Azhar Cape Town. And the school in Al Azhar Paarl is of course linked to Vineyards, where they have the Vineyards Rugby Academy. And similarly in Cape Town, Al Azhar is linked to Rangers. So fantastic, you see the youth in action, and it was the Vineyards Sports Day where the kids were getting out and continuing with their activity. But to tell us more about that, here's Tamir Murat. This Cape Rugby TV feature is brought to you by Direct Access Financial Services, Score Energy Drinks, and MChem 24-hour pharmacy.
Well, it's actually Al Azhar Institute of Paarl, which is part of the players play through Vineyards Rugby that organised the game against Cape Town's Al Azhar. So it's basically Al Azhar school that put this thing together, and we must say thanks to them that invited Vineyards to be part of this occasion. You know, we want these guys to obviously have sport. And if a small school like Al Azhar, they can't fill all the teams. So to be part of the Vineyard structure, it's brilliant for us and it's brilliant for them. What Vineyard is trying to strive is to be the lead junior structure in Paarl. So we're trying to get school, especially from the underprivileged communities, we're trying to get them into the Vineyard structure and then also breed them to start playing senior rugby. Because remember, if you brainwash kids at a young age to be Vineyards crazy, hopefully they'll stay with the club and come to the senior ranks. And we're already seeing it with under-20s. A lot of under-20s this year actually came from a junior structure, and they're coming through. And as you mentioned, the talent pool, phenomenal in Paarl. I mean, Salman is playing there now, but we can mention names like Wayne Julius, Chester Williams. I mean, there's a lot of names that can mention that came to the Paarl ranks, and hopefully we'll see the next Salman or the next Wayne Julius or Chester Williams come through our ranks. We didn't think that it would come down to this, but we did know that the way the league has been drawn, we actually, when we got the fixtures at the beginning of the year, we said, come on Province, giving us our last away game, a derby game in Franschhoek. What happens if it comes down to we have to win that game? And now we have to win the game with 5 points. So we're looking forward to the challenge. We had a bit of a tipsy-topsy season, had a good run of wins at the beginning, and then we had a bit of a 5-game losing streak, but we turned it around and won our last 2 games. So we're looking to go all out there, and if we make it for top 6, what a pleasure. If we don't, we'll be in Super B next year again. But Franschhoek, we are coming with all guns blazing.
This Cape Rugby TV feature is brought to you by Direct Access Financial Services, Score Energy Drinks, and MChem 24-hour pharmacy. Right, welcome back, folks. Tamir Murat there. Of course, we all know him. He's been playing at Rangers and Vineyards for quite a while and well known in the Cape Town circles. Fantastic to chat. Ishmael, isn't this fantastic? Schools rugby out in Paarl. It was going to be a big game last weekend, of course, between Vineyards and Franschhoek. And these games would have been curtain raisers. They also played football there. It's fantastic to see the youth out there and staying active on the weekend.
Yeah, I think it's a great initiative by the clubs to link up with the schools. I mean, you know, our youth faces many challenges and the fact that they've been given this outlet to perform and play and participate is amazing, and to link up with renowned clubs like Rangers and Vineyards it's great. Also creates that pathway and that brand recognition, so that when those guys are into senior ranks, they know what the clubs are all about. So hats off to both clubs for making sure that there's the sport that these guys can actually enjoy and participate in.
Jerome, it's nice for the schools that maybe don't have massive rugby structures to link up with a club and then enjoy the expertise of the club and get their kids into the structure and maybe end up playing for Western Province, even if that school maybe doesn't have that type of sport.
Yeah, it's exactly as Tahir was saying, that it's also good for them to understand the culture of their club. So maybe a few of these boys will join the club, and I think a lot of clubs out there are also doing the same type of thing. So get the youngsters involved early so they know the culture of the club, and it's easy for them if they want to go join the club ranks there. And as he was also saying, there's a lot of players coming through that region who've been playing for Springboks, and hopefully one day we can go back and watch this video and say, but this guy was playing in this tournament and look where he ended up.
I love that idea. I mean, we've had that happen quite often at Cape Rugby, and a lot of, even Sia Khaleesi, we promoted him right back in the day, and we've had those kind of touch points where we look now and we see international rugby and provincial rugby, and somewhere along the line, a lot of our the kids or players we've followed have ended up in a fantastic space. But to tell us even more about the Al-Azhar Paul against the Cape Town match, which was of course at the Vineyard Sports Day, and Jerome just mentioned it, Springbok players, we managed to speak to Salman Murat. This Cape Rugby TV feature is brought to you by Direct Access Financial Services, Score Energy Drinks, and MChem 24-Hour Pharmacy.
It's always great coming back, seeing all the family and friends, old friends that used to come to the games. It's always nice to see all the new kids coming through. All in all, it's just a great occasion, always coming back to club rugby. Yes, it's a great privilege and honour being part of this family. Coming out of a family that loves rugby, that knows rugby. It's you know, we didn't really need an introduction to the game, so it's always special. Trying to represent them to the best of our ability, and yes, like I said, it's always a special occasion. They're doing a great initiative to get the youngsters together, and promoting club rugby at a young age, which is really important, because in today's life it's important that kids get together, enjoy sport, stay out of trouble. So it's a great initiative, I think. You know, a lot of credit must go to the club. They nurtured us from a young age. So I must give my thanks to the club for looking after me, doing what they can, giving their hand in what I am today. So I'll always be grateful for what they did for me, and hopefully I can continue to represent them and make them proud.
This Cape Rugby TV feature is brought to you by Direct Access Financial Services, Score Energy Drinks, and MChem 24-Hour Pharmacy. Right, welcome back, folks. Salman Murat there. We're, of course, know him, hometown boy, plays for Western Province Rugby and the DHL Stormers, and has had a number of touch points at a national level. Ish, nice to see the likes of the Salman come through the ranks, and in fact, what I like here is the fact that he's gone back to his roots there, even though he's probably got a busy schedule. He's back at the school structure, the club structure to support.
Yeah, I think it's important that Salman gives back to his community. I mean, to know where he comes from. Also, those boys playing for that schools and the club can also aspire to be like him one day. He's obviously played Super Rugby. He's been in the box squad. He's a junior box captain. Yeah. And it's great for him to give back to the community, back to where it all started for him. He's obviously a Paul boys product, but yeah, and he will probably always be referred to as a boys eye product, but in actual fact he's a Vineyards boy. So Vineyards should get all the credit for raising and producing such a talent.
Well, I think they certainly do. Folks, we also managed to catch up with Vineyards Academy coach Benjamin Nakreddin. This Cape Rugby TV feature is brought to you by Direct Access Financial Services, Score Energy Drinks, and MChem 24-Hour Pharmacy.
It's really it's an honor and a privilege for us to have a really great bunch of guys coming out, and we actually have a big problem in the sense of what's happening in the community today with kids doing all the wrong type of doings out there. But I would really say thank you to the parents out there who's taking the time who started this whole development, ball youth development, which Vineyards Junior Rugby forms a part of that. And so basically what the goal is to basically try and get the kids off the street, get them doing something positive, getting to know each other on a positive level, and having a good day on the rugby field. Most of the kids are from rural areas, and they love rugby, they like to play rugby, they come out in the numbers. I mean, we've got headaches, we've got like over 130 kids on the practice field at days. So, but the problem is, after school rugby, where do they go? Understand, because a lot of the times you get kids who has the talent, they've got the skills, but then after school nothing happens. So that's where Vineyards comes in. So we've sat in a meeting with the junior rugby and the senior, the ESCO. We sat together, we had a meeting. So basically what we're doing is they're linking up with us, they're helping us out with jerseys, small sponsorships and stuff like that. And at the end of the day, we start feeding the club with younger players. We've got the under-20s that's coming through right now. So obviously it's not just the one step. It's like the Saint Afrikaans, een hand was die ander hand. So that's basically what's happening.
This Cape Rugby TV feature is brought to you by Direct Access Financial Services, Score Energy Drinks, and MChem 24-hour Pharmacy. Right, folks, welcome back. Yes, fantastic there to catch up with a little bit of youth rugby. There's a lot of games back on this weekend. That was, of course, Al Azhar Paarl up against Al Azhar Cape Town, playing at the Vineyards Sports Day. When we come back after the break, we're going to take a look at Currie Cup, the Western Province under-21 Currie Cup side, playing in the semi-final, of course, over the weekend at Brookside. And we'll be chatting a little bit later during the course of the show to some of the under-21 players, Lyle Hendricks, Adrian Parvater, and Ben Dixon. And when we come back, we'll talk to you about Currie Cup. Back in a sec. Right, welcome back, folks. Cape Rugby TV. Remember, during the course of the show, still, we are going to give you an opportunity to win yourself a case of Score Energy Drinks. It comes up a little bit later, so stay tuned. You're going to need your mobile phone. 33090 is the number to SMS. And you're going to need to send the word SCORE to 33090 to win a case of Score Energy Drinks. All that comes up a little bit more, a little bit later. Jerome Parvater, this weekend, it was, of course, your side, the Western Province under-21 side, playing against Free State at Brookside, at Villages. Before we look at the footage, must be nice to play locally.
Yeah, it's obviously good. Last week we had to wait for the result between the Cheetahs and the Sharks to see where we're going to play. But luckily it went in our favour and we had a home semi. So we're fortunate to have that. And things went well for us on Saturday.
Fantastic stuff. Let's take a look at the footage. This is, of course, Western Province, DHL Western Province under-21 up against Free State under-21. We'll tell you the result after the game. This Cape Rugby TV feature is brought to you by Direct Access Financial Services, Score Energy Drinks, and MChem 24-hour Pharmacy. This Cape Rugby TV feature is brought to you by Direct Access Financial Services, Score Energy Drinks, and MChem 24-hour Pharmacy. Jerome, good win for you guys. Quite a big margin. Is that what you expected?
JP, we knew Free State. We played our first game against them in Bloem, and we were 32-7 up, and they ended up beating us 41-39.
Yeah.
So we knew you can't turn our backs on them when you have to play and you have to score. You have to keep the scoreboard going. So our approach was different. It wasn't like a normal semi-final approach. We went out there to go and play and to keep on scoring, because they had a first, we could see where they were going to. They were going like it's a semi-final, you have to take your points. So the first penalty they got, they kicked for poles. And immediately after that, we got a penalty and we kick out and we went to score. They kick off again and we went to score. So then I knew, okay, so then there's doubt in their mind, because we didn't approach it as, you know, you play the typical game, you play in their 22, you kick, and they were expecting that because they're holding guys back, and we knew they're gonna come with that approach, and that was their approach, and our approach was to go and play rugby, and it worked for us on the day.
Let me give a little bit of background here. You've played for this exact team. You played under Jerome. Yeah. All right, so there's even more.
And we won it.
And you won it.
Against the Bulls.
Yes. And
in Bloemfontein.
I think I might have emceed some of those
in
games.
Bloemfontein.
In Bloemfontein. Tell us a little bit about what it's like playing for the Western Province under-21s.
No, I think it's a major honor and a privilege to play for your union, knowing that you're the best in your age group. It's also a big stepping stone into higher honors, because the step after that, you're knocking on the Currie Cup door, you're knocking on Super Rugby door. And I think there's maybe 1 or 2 players in that under-21 side that have played Currie Cup this season for Western Province. So the fact that, I mean, they are our flagship team currently, making strides in the Western Province region, and the only team that's playing in a final, bodes well for them, hopefully for the future, in terms of maybe potential employment contracts coming up. So I think the coaches also need to take a lot of credit for the success that they've had. So well done to Jerome and his coaching team. Yeah, and all the best for this week for the final.
So it's, for you guys, it's now the Bulls, of course, playing in Bloemfontein as a curtain raiser to the main Currie Cup final. Jerome, are the guys ready for this?
Yeah, I think, as we were saying now early on, it's almost like deja vu. When East played, it was my first year, 2007, after coming from the Super Rugby, coaching the under-21s with East Morgan and all those guys in the team, and we beat the Bulls in Bloem, also curtain raiser to the Currie Cup. So yeah, so I think we're ready for that, and it's going to be a tough one. But the approach for us is going to be the same. We're going to go out and play rugby. And East was mentioning also, JP, I must say the players were fortunate because there's we have a quite an experienced coaching team coaching them. We have Russell Winter was involved with the Stormers, and then also Paul Finney was involved with the Stormers, giving back to these young guys. Then we have Rito Lungwani, they know this guy's from the under-19s, so he was there. Nazim Adams was there. Okay, Chris October was there. No, but what I want, what I want to say, JP, it just shows the importance of coaching and the experienced guys that you have there. Yeah. And I must say the guys respond quite well to the guys. I mean, what they were getting back, it just shows and how they were playing. Yeah. And with the experienced coaches, the guys were calm, and we're still calm this week. Going into the final, so I must say that massive compliment to that coaches also helping me.
I think what's important is the different coaching models. I mean, you've got these guys that are specializing in various divisions, and you get maybe another coaching model that might not work, where one coach wants to do every single thing from forwards, lineouts, backlines, everything. So it gives a lot of special attention to what the players need, and that one-on-one touch points is crucial to the development of the boys in terms of technique, in terms of tactics, and you can focus on these one-on-ones and these tactics to improve, and that 1% they incrementally increase and improve, and you can see it in their performance.
Right, folks, we're going to take an ad break. When we come back from the break, we are, of course, going to be chatting to some of the players. In fact, Lyle Hendricks and Adrian Parvater, as well as Ben Dixon. We'll find out a little bit about how they're feeling about the Currie Cup. Remember, if you want to win yourself a case of Score, now is the time. Grab your mobile phone and just send the word SCORE to 33090. 33090 will put you in the mix to win yourself a case of Score energy drinks. Of course, there you see it on the screen right now. Terms and conditions apply. Congratulations to last week's winner, Gavin Davids. Gavin, somebody from Cape Rugby TV is going to be in touch with you shortly, and you will walk away with a case of Score energy drinks. When we come back from the break, we'll speak to some players at their training session, getting ready for the Under-21 Currie Cup final. Back in a sec. Welcome back, everybody. Cape Rugby TV, and we talk about club rugby. Come rain or shine all year long. Definitely a lot for us to talk about in the club rugby space. We're happy to say that the games are back on, and the referees will be taking to the field. And over the next few weeks, we will engage with Western Province and with the referees and find out a little bit more about the details about refereeing out there. And of course, remember, those of you that want to give yourself a go at refereeing, you know how to get hold of Western Province Rugby and put on the jersey and actually go referee a game. And of course, we've got a lot of respect for the referees out there who actually give up their time on the weekends and they get out to the games and they contribute to being there. Refereeing is some fantastic opportunity for you to stay involved with the game. Love the fact that you can start refereeing at a schoolboy level all the way to club rugby level. And if you come from a club, of course, you can earn yourself a little bit of money on the side as well to be a referee. So a lot of support from Cape Rugby TV side for the referees out there, and we trust that all of the clubs and the fans out there will understand that they should be supporting the referees in their process and progress through the Western Province Rugby ranks. Everybody has to start somewhere, and yeah, as I mentioned, we'll be talking more about referees in the weeks to come. All right, folks, as I mentioned, Western Province Rugby's under-21 side, they are busy preparing for the Currie Cup final that's happening in Bloemfontein this weekend, and the players are in action. They're very excited to go out there and bring home another Currie Cup. Let's catch up with Lyle Hendricks, Adrian Parvater, and Ben Dixon. This Cape Rugby TV feature is brought to you by Direct Access Financial Services, Score Energy Drinks, and MChem 24-Hour Pharmacy.
Yes, we had a good run so far. The first time wasn't so well, but after that we said we're not going to lose the game. We lost one against the Cheetahs, the first one, and we said we're not going to lose again. So up till then we performed really well, really proud of the boys, and we would have thought we'd have been in a semi-final and now in the final, so really proud of the boys. Yeah, the first time, like I said, we were traveling each game, so we're really excited to play home for a while. So I think bringing back from another 19 years, that was our home field, so really just stick together and we gelled as a team.
We have a brotherhood here, and we just took it game by game. As you know, we started off very slow, but once we got to know each other, we clicked, and now we're in the final. It was a big factor because we know they're going to come at us. Because as you know, we were leading them in Bloemfontein 32-7, and we lost the game at the end of the day. So we knew it was going to be a tough game. But mentally and physically, we matched them and we stuck to our structure and game plan.
Mens kan voel of die span 'n goeie kameraderie het partykeer deur die week, en dan in die wedstryd dan laat jy die span stel julle mekaar teleur. So dis 'n bietjie ons gevoel het die eerste paar wedstryde. Maar van daar af, omdat ons mekaar kon begin vertrou in die wedstryde, het ons definitief bietjie meer saamgekom as vriende ook. So dit gaan nogals sad wees om hierdie die laaste week te hê van die kompetisie, maar ons is baie opgewonde. Ons weet altyd as ons teen die bulle speel, dit gaan 'n verskriklike fisiese stryd wees, en hulle kom ook met baie confidence altyd. So dit gaan definitief 80 minute van 'n baie goeie wedstryd wees, dink ek. So ek sien regtig baie uit daarna, maar mense het daai sinne wees. Ons is baie bly om in die finaal te wees, maar ons wil nie net in die finaal wees nie. So dit is 'n bietjie senuitergend, want ons wil baie graag gedeurtrek. Ons weet soos ons moet die goeders regkry, anders gaan ons nie die wen kry nie. So ons fokus lekker hierdie week.
This Cape Rugby TV feature is brought to you by Direct Access Financial Services, Score Energy Drinks, and MChem 24-Hour Pharmacy. All right there, Lyle Hendricks, Adrian Parvater and Ben Dixon all playing at the under 21 level. Jerome, tell us a little bit about Lyle.
Yeah, Lyle Hendricks played baby box last year and he's studying at UWC, playing very good rugby at the moment. Bright future ahead of him.
Yeah. Adrian Parvater, do you know him?
I suppose I know him. Adrian is he's my younger brother Melvin's son.
Yeah.
Also studying at UWC. He's actually finished at a young age of 21. He's got his degree already.
At under 21.
Already got his degree. So he said that he wants to focus a lot on rugby now because he's got his degree, and also his dad said he first have to finish his degree before he can start focus on rugby. So you can see he's much calmer now. He enjoys rugby. He's a happy man because he's got his degree. As his dad was saying, he first have to do that. So yeah, he's playing good rugby, and I think he also have a bright future ahead of him.
Yeah, and then finally Ben Dixon.
Ben Dixon is my captain, studying at Martis. He's an engineering student, very clever guy. And he's a captain that always asks me why, because of studying engineering. So you always have to be on top of your game if you say something to Ben. And he's also a good leader. He argue and he can tell the players exactly what to do. And playing lock, he's the main line-out caller, and not even the third line out of the opposition. He worked out the calls of the opposition. He know that. So clever boys. We're lucky to have him also.
But it helps though. I mean, you've got when you've got people, players that have got these qualifications, it helps with the thinking process.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, back in the day, I'm not going to mention any names, players that were on this show. I mean, all we did was just play rugby, and the fact that they've got something to fall back on is very, very important. And the advice that the parents are giving these kids to study, I mean, these guys are one ruck away, one tackle away from a career ender. Yeah. Then what? And to know that you've got that educational background banked gives you that freedom just to express yourself and enjoy your rugby. And you see these guys will play much better. They'll enjoy the game much more. You know, there's not this pressure from playing from game to game or needing to earn a contract within a few weeks' time. They can fall onto something, whether they're teaching or whether they're engineering, you know. So, and I think that's important.
All right, folks, I think that's fantastic, and I love the fact that we've got boys that are so connected here in Western Province. And we wish them the very best of luck this weekend when they take on the Bulls in Bloemfontein as that curtain raiser to the main Currie Cup final. Folks, when we come back from the break, we'll start taking a look at some of the fixtures this weekend. Super League A has now determined its top 6. Super League B and C is, as we said last week, down to the wire. It's the promotion league, and of course the PAL League remains active as well. And we'll take a look at our barometer and some of the big matchup this weekend. So don't go away. Club rugby action remains hot. Back in a sec.
My name is CJ Hendricks. I am 10 years old and I want to become a rugby player. What did you do to become a rugby player? Did you study the sport on the internet?
No, I wish I could have done that. But CJ, I think first of all I decided at a certain age that I wanted it like you. I wanted to become a rugby player. You know, knew I had to work hard in order to achieve it. Most importantly was when I started dreaming about it and then set that goal for myself, which you've already done, which is very exciting.
Oh, why do you like the Currie Cup?
CJ, because the Currie Cup is the oldest rugby competition worldwide.
Oldest competition?
The oldest rugby competition worldwide. There's a lot of tradition and history, and it's also a beautiful trophy.
I wonder how old that the youngest is.
Right, welcome back everybody. Super League A time, Club Rugby, Western Province Club Rugby. And let's take a look at Super League A. We're still going to take a look at Super League B and C and the the other fixtures coming up this weekend as well. It's all systems go. All right, let's take a look at our top final 6 that we have in the Super League A. And there you see it. UCT's at number 1, followed by Marties, False Bay, Durbell, Unimil and UWC. Right, folks, so of course it's still matches to play for UWC and SK Warmers, and that'll still determine positions 3, 4, 5 and 6. Ish, why is this important?
2 very important fixtures, Durbell versus Marties and UWC versus SK, obviously will determine the seedings of positions 3, 4, 5 and 6. So we're looking forward to the outcomes of those games. No surprise that your institutions, your Varsity Cup institutions, your Marties and your Ikes dominating the league. But it's great to see other clubs also in that top 6.
1 and 2 is fixed. Even if Durbell come away with a bonus point win against Stellenbosch, the points difference is in favour of Marties, so there won't be any change in 1 and 2.
Yeah, well, Durbell will have to beat Marties by 340 points in order to eclipse them at number 2, so highly improbable.
Jerome, can Durbell beat Stellenbosch by 340 points?
Maybe if Durbell was like the Cheetahs, who can always come from behind and beat teams, but that's impossible.
Probably need to extend the game by 4 or 5 hours.
I would say so.
It'll be the world's longest rugby game. Right, folks, so we're not 100% sure of this fixture, but UWC, SK Warmers, games still in action. So
top 6 is set. I mean, that's the top 6.
Yeah, that's the top 6. There's no more changing that. So Ish, let's just talk a little bit here about Union Mill. You guys have had a fantastic season, but in that last week, it wasn't all in your hands.
I wouldn't say it's a fantastic season. We've had our ups and downs during the season, but the fact that we can still end up in the top 6 is testament to, I think, the club's success. Just hopefully we can push on further.
Were you safe? Were you safe at one stage, or was some of the points dependent on?
It was always going to come down to that last game.
It
was always going to come down to that last game, and if we had to pick up 5 points, we'd secure that top 6 spot. So, not the greatest of seasons, but we can still smile and say, listen, you're in the top
I
6.
think if I look at the graph and your trajectory over the last 3 years, you certainly haven't gone downwards on the graph. You just keep going up. So that, in our mind, it's been a great season.
I think from a personal perspective, you're always trying to improve from year and year. So you always use the previous years as yardsticks. And like you trying to improve, other clubs also improving constantly. So it's a work in progress. But hopefully we can see by this weekend who our position will be in that top 6.
Yeah. All right, folks. We're going to take a ad break in a second, but yes, UWC still have to play SK Warmers, and Durbell still have to play against Stellenbosch. Let's look at the barometer then, and we'll try and work out whether or not Stellenbosch, Durbell at least, can beat Stellenbosch by more than 340 points to get into the second spot on the log. Let's look at the barometer, and there you see it, of course. Durbell sitting number 4 on the log, Stellenbosch sitting at number 2 on the log. Durbell do not have the barometer in their favour. They are currently scoring at home 39 points on average versus the away average of Stellenbosch of 37. But nevertheless, Marties have got a 100% strike rate. Durbell sitting on a 77% strike rate. And if we look at the attack factor and the defence factor, they're both in favour of Stellenbosch. Jerome Parvater, under 21 Currie Cup winning coach. Tell us, is the barometer right or wrong?
Yeah, I'd definitely say the barometer is right. I don't think Marties want to lose now because they're on a high. It's going to be tough, but as you say, the points difference is too big.
Points difference too big. Ish, can Durbell cause an upset?
Stats speaks before the game, but I mean, anything can happen on the day, I think. Durbell will give themselves a shot. And they'll probably understand that they are underdogs in that encounter, but they've got nothing to lose, and throwing the kitchen sink at it, who knows, might just catch Marties off guard.
As we've been saying for a while now, Super League B is probably one of the hottest leagues in terms of how close it is, but Super League C, in fact, is just as close. We'll take a look at that in a sec. But let's start off with Super League B, and you can see just how down to the wire it's going to be. And what's nice about it is just how many of these matches are derbies. Hamlets are sitting at the top. They are safe in that position. Belleville is sitting at number 2 on the log. Kales River, Franschhoek, Belhar, St. George's, Vineyards, Helderberg. That is where you draw the line. So, gentlemen, if we look at these fixtures, Belhar, St. George's, Vineyards, Helderberg. It's going to come down to those teams and the matches that play out, who is going to secure the top 6 spots on the log. We've got some enormous games this weekend, but before we look at the fixtures, this is still hot.
Yeah. This is the most contested league in Western Province for me. Kales River can still take it. They got a game in hand and they're just lagging Hamlets by 4 points. And should they win this weekend with a bonus point, they could top the log.
Yeah, so we know that they're safe. They stay safe in the league there. Belleville also, they're now done and dusted. They can't move anywhere. We just could still potentially see a shift in position 1, basically in position 1, which means, like you say, Kales River could jump into position 2 or 1, and that would shift Belleville down 1 position, and then your guaranteed semi-finals will be between Belleville and Kales River.
I think what's great
Hamlets and Kales River.
Yeah. What's great about this league is that it's structured in such a way that any team can beat anyone on any given day.
Yeah.
And I think that's what we want as a rugby public, as rugby playing clubs in this specific league. I mean, if we're going to look at the fixtures coming up, and there's some hotly contested derbies that are waiting, which could determine the outcome of the positions in the top 6, promotion, relegation. Who knows?
Well, we've got some massive games this weekend. Let's quickly look at the fixtures then. Young Peoples are up against Macassar. St. George's take on Helderberg. Hamlets take on Collegians. Goodwood take on Kales River, Franschhoek and Vineyards. And then it's All Saints and Rangers. That's a critical game as well, folks, in terms of the promotion, the relegation space. All Saints and Rangers, they'll be wanting to be very careful in terms of those positions there. Because All Saints, Young Peoples, Macassar and Rangers are sitting just in that little danger spot, so to speak. But if we look at these games here, the key matches this weekend, St. George's, of course, sitting at number 6 on the log at the moment. They want to make sure that they get the extra points to try and jump above Belhar. They'll be playing against Helderberg this weekend-ish, and they'll be looking for that 5 points. St. George's, Helderberg, home ground advantage for St. George's, but it's a massive derby.
That is a massive derby, and I think if you look at every single fixture in that league, has a massive impact on top 6 or promotion and relegation. And St. George's, Helderberg, they don't come any bigger than that.
Well, you think they don't come any bigger than that. Jerome Parvater, let me bring you into the picture and see Vineyards up against Franschhoek. 2 neighbours. Is that a bigger game than St. George's and Helderberg?
I don't think you get bigger than that. No, I think Franschhoek, Vineyards, it's a tough one. Big derby in Franschhoek. I don't want to call that.
Call it.
Right, folks, so there's a lot of permutations here. Let's take a look at the barometer just to get the ball rolling here. Goodwood are up against Kales River now. As we said, Kales River are going to be looking for the 5-pointer to make sure that they squeeze themselves into top spot on the log. Gentlemen, Goodwood, Kales River. Goodwood don't have as good a success rate here as Kales River. Kales River does have the advantage. Jerome, Kales River, Goodwood, barometer says it's going to be a Kales River win. Is it is the barometer correct?
Yeah, definitely. I think Eistes, the coach of Kales River, he won't want to go back now. They had a great season, but I think he's gonna wait till the last game of this weekend before he know where he ends up.
Where he plays his trick card.
Stats show that Kales River is probably the favourite team to win, and based on their log position, yes. However, it is an away game for Kales River, and Goodwood is playing home. It's their last home game, so yeah, it's tough. I think Kales River might have the edge here.
Other big game on the cards is, of course, Hamlets against Collegians. Hamlets themselves will be looking to secure a big point win there so that they can remain in position 1 on the log. They would just need to get a win out of this game. Hamlets against Collegians, they've got home ground advantage, but Collegians have had a positive season. The guys they'll be looking to bring it all this weekend. Barometer says that it is in favour of Hamlets though. Ish?
Yes, and I think Collegians might just catch Hamlets off guard. Hamlets knowing that, listen here, we're in the top position. Collegians saying, listen here, we've got absolutely nothing to lose, and it might just pull out they might just pull out the rabbit out of the hat. So I'm going for Collegians.
You're going for Collegians.
Yeah.
Jerome, just how important is it for these guys to get this guaranteed semi-final? You don't want to play one more game as a risk factor. You want that guaranteed semi-final.
Yeah, it's actually, I would say for Hamlets it's an easy game because we know how they can play, they can score tries, but every point for them is important, and I mean it might come down to the last minute, but they just need to win the game where other teams have to score lots of points to know where they end up. But I think they just need to win the game, so I'll go for Hamlets there.
All right, the other big game, as you guys were saying, and Jerome says, is also could possibly be a bigger game than the one that you're saying is the biggest game, ish being St. George's and Helderberg. It was, of course, Franschhoek and Vineyards. Let's look at the barometer here, folks. You see just how close this is. Vineyards are currently, of course, 7 on the log, Franschhoek 4 on the log, and Vineyards with a 54% win ratio versus the 77 of Franschhoek. Franschhoek has got a home ground average point scoring of 38 versus the away points of 32. Gentlemen, the interesting thing here, though, is that Franschhoek, even though they have a better defense factor, but Vineyards has got a better attack factor, according to the barometer. The barometer says that the favour is in favour of Franschhoek. Ish, would you agree with the barometer?
Yes and no. The barometer is there for us as spectators to have a look at, and it's all nice things. At the end of the day, it comes down to that 80 minutes, and for Vineyards, they know it's a must-win. If they lose, they're not in the top 6, so they've got a lot more to play for. Franschhoek, very difficult at home, crowd support, massive. I would like to be at that game just to actually witness it, to be honest.
Jerome, are we maybe missing a factor that is just brought up here? The fact that when you know it's all to play for, that's a component that you can't put on paper. It's that X factor, it's that must-win factor. Are we maybe missing an element that could tip this the other way?
If you look at the points against and the points for, I would say like finals, semi-finals. If you have a solid defense, you have basically have the game. You have a solid defense, and you can score tries like Franschhoek's 5 tries to 4. So everything is in their favour.
All right, it's going to be close. All right, final matchup then. St. George's up against Helderberg. St. George's sitting at number 6, Helderberg sitting at number 8. St. George's will also be desperate for this win. And there you can see the barometer is in favour of St. George's. And one of the reasons why it's so in favour of St. George's is because of the home ground advantage, the fan factor there. The attack factor is in favour of Helderberg. The defence factor is in favour of St. George's. St. George's are scoring at home an average of 35 points versus the average away for Helderberg of 15. The barometer says that this is going to be a St. George's win. Jerome?
St. George's.
St. George's, short and sweet. Ish?
Helderberg don't have to travel that far for this game.
No, it's just around the corner.
Yeah, I'm going with St. George's. They've also got, both of these teams know it's everything to play for. But home ground advantage, yeah, St. George's.
Home ground advantage. So, of course, Helderberg and St. George's will know that these are must-win games to get into the top 6. Folks, when we come back from the ad break, we're going to take a look at what's happening in Super League C, and we'll give you the other fixtures for the weekend. Right, welcome back, everybody. As you know, then we're getting to the tail end of the league part of things, where we now head for the top 6, and the teams are crunching away to make it in the top 6 so that they go and play in the finals at Newlands eventually. For many of you that don't know, 1 and 2 will get guaranteed a semi-final, and the other squads or teams below that, 3, 4, 5, and 6, still have to go into the playoff before they get into the semi-finals and then eventually the finals at Newlands. It's very exciting. We love those finals day at Newlands. All fans get down there and it's really good. Let's quickly take a look at the log then in Super League C. Hands and Hearts sitting at the top of the pile. Scottsdene, Strand, Langa, Benil Villages and Strand United. Those are your top 6 current. followed by Morningstar, Kraaifontein, Blue Stars, Blue Jets, Elsie's Rivier, Wraithby, Kylemore, Manenberg Rangers and Young Wesley's. So it's hot as well. As we saw in Super League B, very close-ish. Super League C, just as tight.
Just as tight, and I mean, that's what we want. Hands and Hearts dominating that league. Obviously, they've got a history of playing high up in Super League B, so they've got that experience. One round left, and let's see where they end up.
Last round left, but Jerome, there is only one spot up for grabs. That is the 6th position. Positions 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5 being Hands and Hearts, Scottsdene, Strand, Lunga, Penil Villages. They are guaranteed their spots. The only place that they can still squeeze into for all of those teams there between Strand United and Morningstar, Kraaifontein is in fact not for Kraaifontein either, but it's between Strand United and Morningstar in terms of who's going to take 6th spot in the log. It's pretty close.
Yeah, and it's also good, JP, that there are still 2 teams that can make that spot, so there will be a fight for one of their teams to go up. So it's good. At least there's a bit of competition still left for those 2 teams playing.
All right, let's quickly look at the Super League C fixtures then coming up this weekend, folks. Strand United up against Elsie's. Scottsdene take on Strand. Manenberg Rangers take on Morningstar, Lunga and Blue Jets. Kylemore and Kraaifontein, Hands and Hearts and Wraithby and Blue Stars and Young Wesley's. So barometer this weekend, we look first. Now, these matches are important, folks, because they're going to be wanting to determine not only the 6th position, but they're also going to be wanting to determine between Scottsdene and Hands and Hearts who is going to take position 1 and 2 on the log. If Strand come away with a big win, they could potentially jump over Scottsdene, and of course, Hands and Hearts, Scottsdene could jump in over Hands and Hearts depending on the results. So it's going to be very interesting there. Scottsdene up against Strand on the barometer. Gentlemen, this is tight. This is position 2 and 3 on the log.
Potentially 1, 2, and 3, because the outcome of this game could determine who actually tops the log.
Yeah.
So probably the game for me in Super League C. Yeah, too close to call. I'm not going to call
too close
this one.
to call. Let's take a look at the barometer, though. Before we go to you, Jerome, Strand, Scottsdene, it's a home ground advantage for Scottsdene. Scottsdene sitting there with a 92% success rate versus 77 of Strand. The advantage, Jerome, is in Scottsdene's favour according to the barometer. Can they create, maintain a win?
Scottsdene prove this whole season it's tough to go home ground. I mean, they beat Hands and Hearts at their home ground, so it's going to be a tough one for Strand, so I'll call Scottsdene.
Scottsdene on it. Ish, do you want to put in the last 2 cents there?
Yeah.
No, you have called it.
I've called it. It's too close to call.
Oh, too close to call.
Yeah.
Critical game, of course, for Hands and Hearts this weekend. Hands and Hearts are going to be up against Wraithby, and just as Scottsdene and Strand, they'll be needing these points to make sure that they're guaranteeing that semi-final. So very important for Hands and Hearts also to come away with a win here. Let's look at the barometer. And clearly in favour here of a team that is sitting 1 and 12 on the log. So home ground advantage for Hands and Hearts. They're taking on Wraithby. Jerome, the advantage is here clearly in favour of Hands and Hearts.
Yeah, as Ish was saying, I mean, Hands and Hearts, with the experience, they used to play in Super B. So I think that that experience will carry them through.
Ish?
Yeah, definitely. Hands and Hearts.
Hands and Hearts. Hands and Hearts had a very good season. But Wraithby will have their work cut out for them if they want to cause an upset here. But nothing is guaranteed with a ball that is shaped this way and not round. And there's no guarantees. It doesn't bounce right. Who knows where it's going to go? All right. Right, folks, as you know, then, of course, still a number of other matches up this weekend. It's very hot in the promotion league. Let's quickly give you the fixtures here. Peninsula are up against Eerste Rivier. Noordelijkers take on Blakes. Look out for this match between Masi Pumelele and Violets and Albions and CPUT. Those are some big fixtures there. And then, of course, in the Paarl region, let's quickly take a look at the logs in the Paarl region. Lower Paarl, Paarl Rangers, Riverstones and Allendale. Those are your top 4, followed by Young Gardens, Simondium, Young Standards, Violets and Peril United. And the fixtures in the Paarl region, Young Gardens against Allendale. Look out for this match between Riverstones and Lower Paarl. They'll be looking to cause an upset and creep up a little bit on Lower Paarl and Paarl Rangers. And then it's Peril United up against Violets, Paarl, and Paarl Rangers up against Simondium. So some big interesting games there, but specifically look out for that match between 1 and 3 Riverstones up against Paarl. And as I mentioned, Riverstones will be looking to close that gap on the log there. Right, gentlemen, Jerome, your plans for the weekend?
In Bloemfontein, JP. Playing final against the Bulls.
I love it when I say, right, gentlemen, what are your plans for the weekend? You know, so we're going to choose a game. And he says, no, I'll be at the Currie Cup final.
Not many people can say that.
No, not many people can say that.
And I mean, we wish him all the best. I mean, he's carrying our flag and representing our region and our province. So all the best from us, from Cape Rugby to the under-21s and Jerome. Yeah, bring the cup home.
Definitely.
Yeah, Jerome, we're extremely proud of you. We're so proud to have you on the show with us here at Cape Rugby. Yeah, we are. And you've been with us from the beginning. For close on 10 years now. Next year it'll be our 10th year of Cape Rugby, talking about community sport and club rugby, and without fail you've been here. And I know the Cape Rugby TV and the entire viewing community of Cape Rugby TV is behind you and the team for this weekend. And you can tell the DHL Western Province under-21 squad, your boys, that Cape Rugby TV is rooting for them.
Yeah, JP, and we really want to do Western Province proud. It's going to be a tough one, but I think we're ready to bring the cup home so that there can be some silverware in Cape Town.
Right, folks, you heard it then from Jerome. He's going to be flying the flag for Western Province this weekend. The DHL Western Province under-21 side taking on the Bulls in Bloemfontein this weekend. Do us a favor. If you're watching the show right now, go to our Facebook page and post your messages if you want to for the players and for the team, and then we'll share it with them. Of course, you'll be seeing this now on TV, but you'll also see it on Facebook. Any messages of well wishes that you want to pass on to the DHL Western Province under-21 Currie Cup side as they go and get ready for the Currie Cup final this weekend. Ish, your plans?
Yeah, I'll hopefully go watch some of these hotly contested matches. I don't know which one I've got to choose, but just a message from my side. It's great to have club rugby back on. We've been yearning for this. I mean, we've just had 1 week of no rugby, and we can all see the effect it has on our brains and our physical state. So yeah, we're just happy to be back onto the field, and yeah, respect everyone, respect our opponents, respect the referees, respect the game, and let us all enjoy this great game of ours.
I could not have said it any better, and I thank you for wrapping us up in that manner. All right, folks, take heed of what Ishmael Dali has just said. Respect the game, respect the process, respect each other, be nice to each other, be kind to each other. Please, South Africa is suffering, and as a sports community, we have a responsibility to change the nation. So let's all contribute in a positive way, really. Right, folks, we'll see you again next week, same time, same place. Have a fantastic rugby weekend. Bye-bye.